Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. This is your match preview for Manchester United versus Everton in the Premier League. Manchester United need a much improved performance and hopefully 3 points from this game. We've got plenty to talk about. Get your comments into the comment section below. Like and subscribe. Let's get right into it. So first off, we're going to talk about Rasmus Højlund, and as we know, he's been out injured the past couple of games for us. There has been some talk on whether he's going to be available or not. Obviously, at recording now on Thursday, we're still unaware. Now, obviously, we'll get an update once Erik ten Hag does his pre-match press conference. But in relation to Rasmus Højlund, he's a massive loss so far for Manchester United in the few games that he's been missing. The goals seem to have dried up a lot. Obviously, Marcus Rashford scores a worldie against Man City on the weekend. But Rasmus Højlund was, our go-to man for the previous, 7 goals in 6 games he got. So he is a huge loss to United, and you would hope that we can get him back for the next run of games. It all depends on whether Erik ten Hag does want to risk him or not. Obviously, Everton on the weekend, it's going to be a difficult one. There is no easy games in the Premier League, especially with the inconsistencies of United. However, does Erik ten Hag potentially want to maybe keep him away from this game so that he might be ready for the Liverpool game in the FA Cup the following week? That remains to be seen. Regardless of the point, we need goals. If Rasmus Højlund is not there, who's going to get him? Obviously, Marcus Rashford, like we said, got a really good goal last week against City, but never looked really confident throughout the game. And it's a big area of concern. It really is. And we knew this was going to be the case. When we go through the January transfer window without signing anybody, even on loan, when we know that basically Rasmus Højlund is going to be the only striker we've got, given Martial and, I suppose the lack of enthusiasm that he has for actually playing a game for Manchester United at the moment, we were always going to be short. And that is the case now. Not only are we lacking goals, that's the one thing I would say with Rasmus Højlund being missing, we're also lacking the work rate in the forward line. Rasmus Højlund absolutely busts a gut every single game he's playing, and I mentioned it a few times how he always has muck on him. He's always covered in sweat. He's always working really, really hard, and there was a lot of maybe criticism for Erik ten Hag in the early games for Rasmus Højlund when he was playing well, that he was being substituted after 70 minutes, maybe 75 minutes. But it was because he was working so hard, and we've missed that the last few games. That work rate across the front line, putting pressure on opposition backlines. And I think what that automatically does is it allows the team to play further up the field. You're not constantly getting the ball put back in on top of you with your defence, and that automatically will drop your line further and further behind. So that is an area of concern. You want to see some work rate in the forward line. Now, who have we got up there? Bruno Fernandes, if he's kind of playing in that false 9, does work hard. Marcus Rashford doesn't. Garnacho does, but he's a little bit ineffective when it comes to it. So that's something that we do need to address. I would like to see Rasmus Højlund play. I don't want him being risked, however. If it is touch and go on whether he's available or not, then just leave him out. And hopefully we can get the job done against Everton. Lesser opposition then, you would say Liverpool the following week in the FA Cup. We know that's our last chance of getting the trophy as well. So, big decision for Erik ten Hag. But let me know what you would do if he was available or if he was touch and go. Would you start him or would you keep him for next weekend? Now, next up, we're going to talk about Garnacho. Obviously, we know this kid is, massively talented. An absolute wonder kid, you would say, for a football manager standpoint. However, he does lack an awful lot of experienced traits to his game, you would have to say. At the moment, what I would say about Garnacho is that he's not really on the best run of form at the moment. He's not playing too well the last few games. The way I would describe him at the moment, and there's no disrespect in this, but he's a moment player currently. He delivers moments for you. The bicycle kick, for example, and a couple of really good quality goals here and there. However, his all-round game really does need to improve. He was completely out-muscled on the weekend against Man City. Every time he got on the ball, he was easily pushed aside. Now, that will come with age. Once he gets a little bit older, he starts to fill out a little bit and he gets a little bit more experienced. However, his decision making is what worries me the most at the moment. Maybe going in on a counter-attack, for example, and he tries to go for goal himself, when maybe there might be a better option just to lay it off or recycle possession. And these are things that he does have to get into his game. Look, I'm under no illusions he will eventually pick up these traits and improve as we go and as he gets older. But it is an area that's standing out to me at the moment. And I hope we can look at, a Garnacho in a couple of seasons' time that has all of these things. But as of now, he really needs to try and simplify his game a lot more, if you ask me. I think, keeping possession a little bit better, not going on, I suppose, dead-end runs when... Now, look, he doesn't do this all the time, but there are moments in games where he might do it. And just these little traits that he could pick up on that, will improve his game. And I'm not saying there's pressure on him because, well, there's always pressure when you're playing for a club like Manchester United. But he's not under any pressure from the United fan base. We understand that he's a young player. He's learning his traits. But the sooner we can get him learning these kind of things, the better. And I think the better Manchester United will be once he does learn these things. Now, he is absolutely a match winner and can go on and win those games 100%. But I think getting into the right positions, making the right decisions at the right moments will allow him to do that more and more often for Manchester United. But at the moment, he is absolutely a go-to guy for United. We need him to stay fit. We need him to play well. And it's a shame, really, because he's a young man. You would want to maybe play him one every 2 games. Maybe one even every 3 games, given the age he is. Look at last week when we were playing Man City, for example. Phil Foden, the match winner. There's a guy that's been slowly but surely drip-fed into the first team under Guardiola over the last 3 or 4 years. And now he's hitting 23, 24 years of age, and he's ready to take on the world and be that main player. And I think having, I suppose, the lack of pressure from being a number 1 starter at 18, 19 years of age, I think can help him. But look, let's see how Garnacho gets on in the weekend. I'm under no illusions he will be playing for United. Now let's talk about the opposition, Everton. And Everton come into this game with no wins in their last 6 games in the Premier League. However, it doesn't kind of resemble... They don't kind of resemble the kind of team that are easily pushed over. Sean Dyche's team are always very hard to play against. They're always hard to break down. They live off set pieces as well, which is something that is a concern from a Manchester United standpoint. We're not the best at set pieces, and it's something that I think Everton will be looking to exploit coming into this game on the weekend. However, I mean, they do sit in 16th place in the Premier League. Now, they are 5 points above the relegation zone, and Luton currently sit in 18th. However, Luton do have a game in hand, so they're fighting for their lives. Obviously, they've had their points reduction reduced from 10 down to 6, which does give them a little bit of breathing room. However, they're going to be fighting for their lives. And like I said, and I think even over the years, we've never got an easy game out of Everton. It's always been a difficult tie, Manchester United and Everton. You would hope home advantage will count for Manchester United and put them away as early as possible. It all comes down to taking your chances. The longer Everton remain in games like this, the more belief that they will gain. And like I said, when it comes to the likes of set pieces, late in the game, corners, free kicks, so on and so forth, they will fancy their chances. So I think it's important for United. Put them away early, take our chances when they fall, get a couple of goals up, you would hope, before half-time. Easier said than done, and this Manchester United team doesn't do that an awful lot. But let's hope we can do that. Put them to the sword early, and I think it would be a relatively comfortable game if we can do that and see the game out. Now let's talk about the starting 11. Again, this is the predicted 11 that I think is going to start on the weekend. Again, let me know your predicted 11 in the comment section below, or would you make any changes? But again, I think it's one that can go out and get a victory against Everton on the weekend. In goal, I'm going to go with obviously Andre Onana. He's been our best player, I think, one of our best players for the last 4 or 5 games. Back 4, I think, is probably going to remain the same, to be honest, given how stretched we are with the players available for the back 4. Delort at right back. Lindelof, I think, will probably continue to play at left back, even though I don't really agree with it. Evans then and Varane. Now, Evans and Varane, I thought, had a really good game on the weekend against Man City. I mean, Johnny Evans, for a player who didn't have a club at the start of the season, has been putting in some really good performances. And Varane, I thought, was excellent as well. As a defensive unit, bar maybe Lindelof, I thought we played really well. It's just a shame we don't have any natural left backs at the moment. Midfield then, I think is the easiest to pick. I think Bruno Fernandes comes back into midfield alongside Menu and Casemiro. And I think that should be the case between now and the end of the season. Bar you're playing your Man Cities, your Liverpools. Obviously, I think the formation that Ten Hag peaked against City, worked, up until 70 minutes. I think it was a good formation. And then I think Anthony is going to come in on that right-hand side. We played a kind of a 2 up top, nearly a 4-4-2 against City. I think we go back to 4-3-3. I think Anthony comes in on that right-hand side for his work rate, his defensive duties as well, which you can't fault him for. And then we've got Rashford through the middle and Garnacho on the left. Now, look, I mean, you would think that one of them is going to have to score on the weekend if we're to win this game. Marcus Rashford doesn't play too well through the middle, doesn't look overly comfortable. Garnacho, we know, lives in moments at the moment, and Anthony has no real end product. So, yeah, I mean, not trying to be too negative, but I struggle to see where the goals are going to come from. I hope I'm wrong, but I do think that this is going to be the starting 11. It is good enough to go and get the job done. It really is. But let me know your starting 11 in the comment section below. Would you change anything here? If I'm going with a score prediction, again, we should have enough to get the job done. At home, you would hope we can bounce back from 2 defeats on the trot. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Manchester United. Goals from, I think Bruno Fernandes is due a goal. So I'll go a goal from Bruno Fernandes and a goal from Johnny Evans from a set piece. There we go, 2-0 to United. Let me know your score predictions in the comment section below as well, guys. We will be live for the game on the weekend at 12:30 on Saturday. So make sure you're joining us for that as well. Thanks for watching. Please smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you're new. And see you on the next one.